So what blocks sovereignty and free will, these things that are required for evolution, from being attainable? And the answer is always, you do. So these would be things, I mean, this all basically comes down to judgment, which is differentiation. So judgment occurs, if we really break apart judgment, judgment is an expression of addiction to time. You can have judgments about the future. You can have judgments about the past. In the present moment, right, there is no, you can't judge. There's no judgment that can occur. There's simply perception. There's simply awareness. There's simply perception and we could say like emptiness, or perception and the appearance and emptiness little dance that goes on. So within judgment, you have these things like entitlement and blame, projections, again, entitlement, blame, these are judgments, projections, judgments. You have no awareness or low levels of awareness, which of course makes it difficult to see how various aspects of inner and outer conditioning are forcing us to think certain ways and feel certain ways. Any defense mechanisms, again, judgments and self-preservation. Yeah, all the ego complexes that exist, the judgments of the internal critic, the external critic. This is really common. Anytime you're criticizing others, it's usually so that you can go, well, I'm not that bad thing, so, oh, I have some value, right? And of course, the internal critic, which is its whole other can of worms, conditioning of the internal and external environment, like we mentioned. One of the big ones is lies, right? That blocks us from sovereignty, from that free will, and this evolutionary progress to higher states of unity is not being honest. And this includes like in your action, when you restrain yourself and then start to feel resentful because you're holding yourself back from being honest. Now, of course, there are some things that have to always be discussed there with, ethics and goodwill and all these things. So from here, we look at what is a more true path of transformation. And this starts with unceasing perception, unceasing awareness. This is not, it starts with mindfulness, which is where we are creating a little bit of a dissociative disorder, which we've discussed in past videos. And we're starting to pull the identity out from the experience and the actions. So this is where you start to recognize the thoughts you're having, recognize the feelings that you're having, recognize the moment by moment sensations and appearances and change that's occurring. And being okay with that stuff being there. So that's a good first step. But we also have to bring this into, instead of detaching from appearance, we are appearance. We are emptiness. We are perception. This is what it is, what it is, right? So we need to be wary of this, we might call it a false teaching or a false view of detachment. It's simply the identity is not lodged into all of these things. So we start with unceasing perception. And this begins with self-evaluation, deep sincerity, deep honesty about your motivations, about these moment-by-moment fluxes of energy and fluxes of thought and view and response and recourse that are occurring all the time, like a million times a second, right? And so that's where it starts. Then we have to have the willingness to change, the willingness to be different, right? These are of course still in the very beginning stages. The willingness to change is important. A lot of us want to engage with the spiritual path, perceive energies, recognize these light bodies, bring these energies in and evolve, but we don't actually want to change. So we want to have the cake of our identity and eat the fruits of spiritual development at the same time. Put them in the cake or whatever, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to change. And over time, what happens is we learn to exist from the personal Akashic consciousness. And this is sort of the space of resolution that auto-dissolves stagnation, right? So you end up existing from that higher self or that emptiness and light. And anything that happens in that space resolves into that space. So in a sense, there's a type of identity flip that occurs here. And this is very important because you're evolving from perceiving yourself as a thing that releases and changing to perceiving yourself, instead of being a thing that releases, you are release. You are that space of resolution, that timeless, eternal, infinite space, spaceless space of resolution, of release. So you are released at things from time to time instead of being a thing that releases. And this is absolutely quintessential to transformation. And it makes it so much easier because instead of having to have all these tensions and blockages and then work on them, you recognize the emptiness, the light that these things come from as you, and these are that emptiness, they are that light, just in flickers of consolidation, and then they can resolve much, much easier. So this is really important, and this requires, along this path of transformation, deep meditation. So the ability to find, say, this place of resolution, this light of the spirit, this emptiness, and sustain awareness of that, perception of that for long periods of time. This requires meditation, the focus developed in meditation, the ability to sustain more and more refined frequencies and objects of concentration so that eventually we can sustain the recognition of the personal Akashic consciousness, of that infinite freedom at each layer that we're working on, whatever refinement we happen to be at. So along with deep meditation comes curiosity, which is that openness, that deep wonderment and openness. And that's really what allows us to sustain that moment by moment unceasing perception and awareness constantly. And that with that, of course, is that moment by moment sincerity and honesty. And we're able to work that and to be in that place because of moment by moment curiosity and wonderment. If you have that curiosity, if that wonderment is present, then this isn't work. It's not a chore. It's a gift to be awake in more and more moments of time and space and infinity. So that's really, really important. And this allows us to bring the coherence of resonant alignment with light and life and living mind into each and every moment, to actually accept and merge with that light essence, and with that cosmic essence, depending on where you're at in every moment. This is really, it's a tricky thing, and it can be quite hard. It can be a difficult thing to do. Why? Because if you are moment by moment coming into coherence with or that resonant alignment with the fingerprint of the light of the spirit amorphously, you're constantly changing shape energetically. The mind is changing shape. The astral body is changing shape. The fields are changing and moving and flexing, and this can be quite difficult because you're constantly obliterating any sense of security, any sense of the known. So a lot of people will have a lot of trouble with this, and this is part of that process of moving deeper and deeper and deeper into recognition of that personal Akashic consciousness and that personal infinity, which opens the door to the expansive cosmic infinity that awaits as well. Please check out the website. There are courses in Hermetic Qigong and alchemy. There is the Zenden, which is a Q&A reference library. So I get back to all your questions via video, and that way I can help you with your learning as you're progressing through the practices. And of course, you can find retreat information available there as well. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for your time. Have fun. Practice. Bye.